Okay, so we successfully configured DNS here yesterday, right? So one other way you could tell if the DNS is working, you use ping. If you use ping, P-I-N-G, then you type DNS secondary .zmpt.com. Okay, using the name, so using the name is working. Okay, so using the name, it's going into the DNS server and picking up the correct IP address. Okay, and then you could do this to DNS primary too. And that one is working too, okay? So what if so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start. We're going to work on Ansible starting today here. So, but we're going to use DNS also. Okay, DNS, for the DNS server to be working, it should be working, running in the background all the time. Okay, the DNS server could never go down. So, let's see here. So I'm going to log into root. Red Hat. And so what I'm going to do is IPA /16 192.168.56.116, and then I'm going to save this as Ansible master. Okay, so now I'm going to open this. I'm going to log in here. Red Hat. And I'm going to say IPA. Or I'm going to say host name, right? So I'm going to go in there and change the host name. VIETC host name, and here I'm gonna give it a name Ansible master.zmpt.com. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is restart the system, and it should reflect the name now. Okay, so let me reconnect. Okay, so you could see the host name is there. It has accepted the host name there. So, but if you type host name, and it's working there. But if you do the ping and host name here, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it's getting the IP address now. But can you ping it from anywhere else? Can you ping it from anywhere else? Okay, so here you are able to ping within the system here, so that's fine. But outside the system, you're not able to ping it because it doesn't have any information in DNS here. And also, you need to tell where the DNS server is in the system also. Alright, so let's work on it. So what we're gonna do is so this is where we have stopped the DNS is complete here. Okay, so for the DNS and the DNS name to work on any other system, you have to do following things. Okay, so what you do is let's follow the document here. Okay, so what we got to do is we got to go in here and give the IP address. Okay, so our IP address is 116, right? VI etc sysconfig network script enp0s3. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna get rid of the things we don't need. Okay, all these things I don't need. Okay, down on the bottom here, I'm gonna say IP ADDR. Okay, equals. I put the IP address of the host. First important thing is boot proto, it got to be static. static. Okay, then in here So 116, and then net mask okay, net mask equal 255.255.255.0. okay, and then so this is kind of acceptable here. So DNS1 and DNS2, all you have to do is just change it, change this here, 114, and what is it, 112, right? Yeah, and 114. You would be doing this when you're building the system for the first time here. So you would have all the DNS information and name and host name and everything in there. Okay. So what I'll do is any other server. So you have to have these basic configuration on any other server for it to be working with DNS here. Okay. So let's see here. It looks good to me. And here is 1112 1116 14, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna save and exit. Then it's telling us to change the host name. Okay, so I did the host name. That part is complete already. Now what I need to do is I need to go into networks and put this information in there. VI etc networks, and I hit enter. Okay, whatever you have in there, get rid of this. And networking equal yes, and host name equal ansiblemaster.zmpt.com. Okay, so once you have that, save and exit. So up here I have which files we need to configure. We need to configure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm following through that.
Zafar,
Yeah.
can you do just a little bit? I'm still trying to catch up.
Okay, yeah, I'll wait.
Could you show again on the Word document what you typed under EC networks?
Yeah, right here.
All right, thank you.
Networking equals yes, and in fact I'll bring it up here.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So now the next file we need to make an entry is host files, vi etc hosts. Okay, so here I'm gonna get rid of all this here. First, you need to put in the IP address 192.168.56.116, then a tab, then you type in Ansible master.gmpt.com. Okay, I'm going to save and exit. So this is your host IP address and then the host name. Then the last file we have is, we have to go vi etc resolve.conf. Okay, so in here, get rid of mshomes.net and name server. Okay, so you get rid of this and put in two name servers in here. 192.168.56.112 and 114. This is the name servers for the DNS boxes here, okay? So here, I'm gonna make a note here.
And this is Zafar.
Yeah.
And the last one too, in the host, did you put a tab between the IP and
Yeah.
Ansible man? Or
Yeah.
just a space?
I
Okay.
use tab. Are you caught up now? Are you caught up?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. So now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into each place, and I'm sorry, we're gonna go into DNS master, and then we're gonna make these entries here, okay? So DNS, in other words, phone book. We're gonna go into our phone book here and make the entries. So where do you make the entries here? You're gonna make it into forward and reverse lookup zones. So I'm gonna clear this. I'm gonna go vi/var/named/forward.zmpt. I'll hit enter here. Okay, so this line is gonna stay untouched. You know what? In fact, everything should remain untouched here going forward. Now you go in here and give it a space here so that you're doing the new entries here. So now what you have to do is you have to give the name and IP addresses. I'm gonna say Ansible master, then IN, then A, and then what I need to do is 192.168.56.116. Okay, it was 116, so I'm gonna come here and save it here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go into the reverse lookup zone, and then I'm gonna make the new entries here. Everything else remain the same. Okay, so what is the entry is gonna be? Ansible master, so I think you have to make a double entries here. First the regular entry, and then the second would be the IP address down on the bottom here. So what you're gonna do is Ansible master IN A 192.168.56.116. Okay, then you come down here. I prefer to give it a little space here so that you can make a difference between the IP address and the DNS servers and the regular servers. So the end IP address is 116 IN PTR pointer, and I'm gonna give it a name Ansible, all lowercase, okay? Ansible master.zmpt.com, then a dot .com . Okay, I'm gonna save and exit. Okay, now what I need to do is, let me check something here. Okay, this is not necessary. Okay, I'm just making sure this is working here. Down in the whole server, you have to give the other IP address also for the host, the secondary DNS server here. When we were here, we didn't have the DNS secondary server ready yet, so that's why you have to do this. Go ahead and give this information there, okay? Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart the service. Before that, let me go into the DNS secondary.
So you want us to put the DNS secondary in there as well?
Yep, vietc resolve.conf. And okay, this one already has it.
So it should look just like that one, right? Just like the secondary one?
Yeah, it should look like a secondary one. Okay, once that is done, so give me 1 second, let me see something. CD var named. Okay. So what happens here is there is a directory in here, DNS secondary slaves, right? This directory, what it does is it will automatically, it will go in, the DNS primary will automatically come into this directory and write this 2 files in here, actually transfer these 2 files in here, okay? All right, so I'm gonna make a note here, go up. Okay, so on the DNS secondary server, forward reverse.zmpt and reverse.zmpt will get transferred. Okay, so this file, all you have to do is you have to make the change in the primary and it will automatically transfer the file here into the secondary server here. So I'll tell you what do you have to do to trigger that. Okay, so I'm gonna do this here. This file gets updated from DNS primary. Okay, so you got to notice we are on DNS secondary right now. Right? We are on DNS secondary right now. Okay. So what happened here is okay, so the slave system is there, and what it's going to do is these two files are not written by the slave system. It's written by the primary system here. So what if I do ls-l? It's still there, right? I could go ahead and remove this too. rm-rf forward rm-rf reverse. Okay, so this place is empty now. So what will happen is if I make any changes in here, the connection between the primary and secondary is being constantly being checked every so often. So what is it going to trigger that anything has been updated? What you have to do is you have to change the serial number here. So here you have a number 1 here, right? Go ahead and change the serial number to number 2, the one following that number. Okay, so you do this, save and exit, and you do the same onto the reverse lookup zone 2. Okay, so you change the serial number and give it a little bit of time. What will happen here is it will automatically update this file into the DNS secondary here. So I'm going to move this onto this side here a little bit so that we could have some good view. Okay, so DNS secondary is here. I'm going to clear this. Okay, watch. I have deleted the files here. If I do ls, it's nothing in here, right? So we will give it a moment here for the file to show up. It may take 2-3 minutes here, actually. I think there is a refresh. Oh, refresh. Oh, I'm sorry. Refresh here is 1D. That means 1 day. We're not gonna wait for 1 day. We're gonna have to change this. Let's see here. I'm gonna put in Google and get what is the best number way you can do it. It's called DNS refresh on Red Hat. This is not it. This is the one, looks like, probably. Timeout. You could change there also, and all right, give me 1 second here. What we could do is 1 day, 1 day. Okay, I'm gonna give, instead of D, I'm gonna give 60 here, okay? See what happens. 60, that would be referring to 60 seconds. And I'm gonna make it 3 here. Okay, and I'm gonna save and exit. I'm gonna do the same thing for the reverse lookups file also. That means it's supposed to be 60 seconds. So let's see if it's gonna work here in 60 seconds. So we'll give it a 60 seconds and see if it's gonna work. Okay. It didn't show up yet. Okay, so give me 1 second here. I'm still looking up. Okay, this is good. It says 3600. What is 3600? If it's 3600 seconds, then it's not good, right? Maybe 60 minutes. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna restart the name.service here. Restart, right? Now let's take a look here if it shows up here. Not yet. Okay, so come on. Let me restart it here. Okay, now it's showing up here. Ideally, ideally what will happen here is you don't have to do all this here. It will automatically show up here. Actually it showed up here. We didn't have this here last night. Okay, I made a note of this here last night. We didn't have this here, and it showed up here actually around this time, because around this time we were messing around and we had the system to save it as 1 day, right? So what we'll do is we'll just leave this alone here. But ideally in a real world environment, this will automatically write to the slave. So what you have to do is, all you have to do is come in here and make a change here and change the serial number here. Okay, whenever you're making change, you say 3 and then make it 4 and then do your changes and leave. Okay, now that we made the Ansible in here as an entry, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ping it. Remember earlier when I ping it from this server here, it was not working actually. It was working from itself, but it was not working from here, right? Right here. See, I pinged ansiblemaster.zmpt.com and it was not working. So let's see if it's going to work now. It is working now. Now going forward, any server which is part of Ansible, which is a part of entry into DNS, this will work here, okay? So what is happening here is, if we go back to our picture, so once we made an entry into the DNS server, what will happen is when you do a ping, and each computer has the location of the DNS server, right? How do you know each computer knows where the DNS server is? Because we made the entry. We made the entry in here. Most importantly, result.conf. This is the place it goes and look up for the DNS server. Okay, and where is the other place it does? It knows where the DNS server is in its network configuration file itself. Over here. Okay. So any server which knows where to go look for it is going to go to this DNS servers and then ping it and see if it's going to show up here. So if you do ns lookup and you type this here, ns lookup command not found. Yeah, we are using the barebone operating system here. Yeah, dig is not there. I'm not worried about it, because if you do ns lookup somewhere else here on the DNS master here, it's working, right? ns lookup. So it is working here. What it does, ns lookup does is, it goes on to this server here and then look up if there is an entry made into the system here. We have Ansible master.zmpt.com, and then it brings up the IP address here. If you do the IP address, it will go ahead and bring up the name. See? When you do the name here, it brought you up the name here. This IP address belongs to this name here. It is a little bit overwhelming, but it's not complex. Okay, once you understand this, once you do it couple times, then it will be very, very easy for you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up. Now we're going to start Ansible here, right? For us to be Ansible to be working, we have to have these items, these 5 servers up and running here, okay? And then we're going to rename it. So this part is done. So I have to go into each server and make entries here, right? From here all the way to the bottom here. So I'm going to do that now. So let's see here. What I have is, okay, so what am I doing here? I'm going to close this. I'm going to bring up 5 of these, okay? One, I have 1, 2, if you're gonna run into risk of the system is gonna hang up, just do 3 on your system. Don't do 5, because if you do 5, you're actually running 7 servers, 8 servers.
This is a phone.
Yeah.
Could you tell me what the problem would be? So I went on DNS Primer and I did the NS lookup for Ansible master, and it gave me the. It said not an authoritative answer. Can't find Ansible master.
Yeah. So what you got to do is you got to be. So go into VIETC. No, VI var named, and then start with forward.zmpt and see if it's matching the way I have it here.
Yes, it's matching.
Okay, now the reverse lookup zone. Let's take a look in there. I think you may be missing a period there. I know that happens a lot. See, at the end, do you have a period there?
Yes, I do.
And do you have one more entry like this? You have double entry here. You have to have the forward and the backup. Do you have this also? In the
Yes.
reverse.
When you do NS lookup, what does it give you for the server and the address?
So if you go into NS lookup here, so I'm gonna say NS Are you using the address or the IP address?
I'm just using the address Ansible master.zmpt.com.
Master.zmpt.com, right? So here it went through this server here.
Yeah, for the server and the address, the first one you're looking right there, I'm getting like the old default one where it says like .8 or number 53. Like it's not giving me the actual DNS.
I know what it is. Go into vi etc resolve.conf. And here if you see the entries are still there.
You said to go to VI bar name slaves.
No. Right down here, vi etc resolve.conf.
Yeah, there was an extra name server.
Yeah, there is. The reason it's getting written up extra in there is that is your router. So take it out, and then what you could do is save and exit, and then disable the NAT. I'll show you how. Just make sure it's matching it like this,
Yes.
and then do NS lookup and see if it's going to work. You may have to do it on both the secondary and primary.
Change the ETC. I mean the resolve.
Yeah, resolve the extra thing that is getting written in there, take it out.
Okay. Okay, yes, it's working now.
Yeah. So what you might want to do is you want to go into your virtual box, and for that particular machine here, for example, I have DNS master here, right? Where did it go? Go into machine and settings, into network. Take you have 3 active in there, so take the NAT out, disable it.
Okay.
So what I will do is it will not be able to go online for sure.
So you want me to change to not attached?
Yeah, leave it not attached. And then it's not, it won't, your home router will not be able to write to it actually.
And so we do that for both the primary and the secondary?
Yeah. I'm just making sure it gets easier on the eyes when we're gonna run the commands. So what Ansible is gonna do is it's like design to run your multiple, you manage multiple servers simultaneously.
I think I'm having some kind of problems now.
Yeah, give me TeamViewer.
No, like it's just telling me to reset it, like turn it back on.
Oh,
That's like,
what is the message you're getting again?
it's still loading, so it's not saying it just yet. Oh, for the ENP OS 9, it's telling me to reset the adapter.
You do this here, shut it down,
Okay.
then take it out.
Okay.
Shut it down, and then you will get a better option here. So take it out altogether. Yeah, enable network. Just uncheck that; it will go away.
Okay.
So now what I'm gonna have to do is okay, I'll leave this here. Okay, I'm gonna get the IP addresses for all these boxes here. So this is 117.
So that type on for all the rest of them.
I didn't hear you. What?
Should I keep the network on for the rest of them?
Yeah, rest of them is fine. We may, you know what? Actually, no. Take it out for all of them because you're connected directly to the router here. So in your scenario case, it's interfering with what we are doing. But do we need? Let me think. Do we need the IP address? We need to enable. Okay, we are good on that. Other 5. How many servers you plan to turn on? 5 for Ansible.
Yes, I'm turning on all of them.
Okay, good. I'm going to rearrange all this here so that we could see better. Okay, so we have 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one. So I have here is as an example 5 servers here, and then where is so I have an Ansible master here, right? So what I'm gonna do is I will have this master here. So let me change the background color here. Okay, so what? Background color, I'm gonna purple, gold. Okay, good.
This is the phone.
Yeah.
One of my clients is sharing the same IP as one of the DNS.
The one of the client is sharing the same IP as DNS. Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Did you physically made any changes into it?
No.
Okay, so give me 1 second here. Hold on. Okay, so give me your team viewer.
Okay. I just gonna ask, should I just not use one of them? But the rest of them are all fine.
How many IP addresses you have? 2 or 1?
Right now I have all 5 servers, all 5 clients running only one of them.
It's using the same IP address as what?
The DNS primary.
So when you're going to make it a static IP, give it some other number in there at the end. You could actually assign keep everything else like this one, same, and the end part give it some other random number. What are your numbers? The end numbers, is it like 1, 2, or 3?
Some of them are like 0.3, 0.6, 0.11, 101.
Yeah, give like 120 or something. Okay, something very, very different. It will take it. Okay, because what is happening here is you when you are assigning the IP address, you have a liberty to assign from at the end 0 up until 255. Okay, so you could actually give the IP address you want and it will take it.
For which one?
The one you are having a problem with.
So where do you want me to change that or add it in? When I'm logging in through PuTTY?
Yeah, logging into PuTTY, go into networks adapter settings here. And you done this, right? The network configuration. You go in here. Let me bring up the DNS part. Yeah, go to VI etc sysconfig. Which one are you using? ENP0S3?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're actually assigning the IP address, you don't have to give the same one. You give something else. And once you reboot, it will take it.
Okay. And so you want me to do this for the client that I'm having an issue with?
Yes, no, yeah, for the client, not the DNS.
Okay.
Okay, so you're caught up? So I'm gonna put it here. This is mine is 112 114, and the one we had for Ansible is 116. This is a mistake. 16 114 12. Okay, everything else looks good to me. Okay, so we'll come back to this document again. Okay. All right, so let's move forward and work on the uh, I'm going to add DNS here a little later here. Okay, guys, so for 10, so initially we picked one server and we have 3 hard drives in there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 hard drives. Okay, and all of the other servers have 4 hard drives in there. And then we named it client 01, zmpt.com 2 and 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so if I do a host name here, okay, so the host name is not set here. Okay, so we're gonna move forward and then we'll do that later. Once we learn how to do Ansible, we'll come back in here and take a look at that. So what is gonna happen here is I'm gonna take a screenshot here. Got messed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. So I have 5 servers here. So what is going to happen here is, so Ansible will set up one server here as a master. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use one master server to connect to the other ones. So the master is going to control all five of these servers here. Okay, so it's going to control this. Okay, it's going to control this. It will control this. And here. So in reality, what is Ansible doing is it's a configuration manager, or you could use it as many things. So there is going to be one master, and this is going to be regular servers here. It doesn't need any special software installed on it for the Ansible to be working. You just have to do it on one server, and then all you need is a host name or IP address. Then it will start controlling all the other servers here. Okay, so now if you control one server, you could control hundreds of servers here. Okay, this is what this Ansible is about. Okay, so in the picture, I'm gonna type here Ansible master. Okay, and these are the clients. Okay. So this is a master, and it's taking care of the clients here. So what is Ansible here? Let's talk about Ansible. So let's do okay. Oh, okay. It's also doing on Windows also. So Ansible was developed by Red Hat, and it's written in Python. Okay, so it is using a language called Python. I think everybody heard about Python, right? It's using Python. It's the Python is written. The Ansible is written in Python here. Okay, and so it's an open source software provisioning, configuration management, application deployment tool, enabling infrastructure as code, and it runs on many Unix-like system, and configure both Unix as well as Windows. It includes its own declarative language to describe the system configuration. Ansible was written by, okay, this dude, he wrote this. So he started this, and it was it was acquired by Red Hat. So it's not that old. And it's a Red Hat product, but it's free, I think, yeah. Ansible is agentless. Okay, what does agentless means is, on our diagram, for you to be able to run Ansible here, you just have to configure one box. Everything else, you don't have to go and install a little software running in the background. You don't have to do that. Okay? For example, if you have Skype, right? If you want to communicate with somebody with Skype, the other side have to have Skype on the both computers. Okay, so for Ansible, you don't have to have that Ansible application running on this system here. It's using SSH. The built-in, it is using a built-in SSH configuration ability to go configure other systems here. Let me make it look bigger here. Okay, yeah, that's good enough. Okay, and here, so on our picture, these are the clients here, right? So clients is control using SSH. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write here so by now everybody's familiar with SSH, right? So it's a basic communication within if you need to communicate over two servers. This is the basic communication you could have, which is built in on any Unix or Linux system. Okay, so you don't have to be surprised if SSH is not working or SSH is not installed. I'm sorry, if SSH is already installed, you don't have to be surprised because it comes with the system. I think we should take a break here. Let's take a break for good 15 minutes. We'll come back at 2:10. Okay, and then after that we'll work on Ansible, and then we'll see if we are able to finish up Ansible today. Okay, all right. So we'll come back at 2:10. Okay, I'm back here, so we'll get started now. Okay, so Ansible, I'm gonna write down here Ansible is written in Python. Okay, and yeah, that's about it. So for this topic here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the Red Hat and SSH secure shell, and we're gonna use agentless, means what does agentless means? No need to download utility or service on the remote server. Or no need to download the utility or agent on clients. Okay, and most of the time you have to look up for Ansible documentation. So if you want to do some specific task here, you just have to look it up here. I mean, that's what it is. And they did a really good job of putting together the documentation here. So you come here and go through the docs, and it will have a lot of your answers in here. So now what I'm going to do is we have Ansible, right? So, okay. Split cells. So what I have so far is if I do IPA, so the IP address is 116, right? And this is Ansible master. And this one is 192.168.56.116. Okay, so we don't have the name for it yet, so I'm not worried about it. We'll work on the name a little bit later. Okay, so let's configure the Ansible box. Let's configure this so that it will, you have to do some installation or configure the Ansible master for you to be able to work on it here. Okay, so what you do is you do yum install. So you need two software for this here. EPEL release and Ansible. Let's do one at a time here. So you have to install the EPEL release is, I'll tell you what it is in a minute here. Okay, so you need that, and you need yum install Ansible. So for Ansible, EPEL release is dependent for it. So I'm going to go ahead and install this. Are you following with me, Burhan?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so it's gonna take a few minutes to install that.
I think you gave me 5.
I'm sorry, what?
I think it gave me a problem trying to install because it turned off the net.
Oh, you did it. Oh, you for master. You know what? Actually, bring it back on master. I didn't realize that you're turning off on master also. Yeah, shut it down and bring it back up, and then you could do this. Okay, so now once this is installed, I'm going to clear the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the version. Ansible -- version. It gives some output here, so I'm going to put it in here. So when you do this here, Ansible, and check for the version, you get this output here, right? So what this is you see the version in here. In fact, I don't need this here. Wait. Okay, so this part is the version, and it gets updated a lot here, so don't be surprised if it gets updated a lot. Okay, and then this is a configuration file. That means that you could control the behavior. So you could control control the behavior, how the Ansible is behaving. Okay, so that's what you use this for. And let's see here, what else you need to worry about is you have modules here. Yeah, don't worry about the other ones here. It is there, but at this moment you don't need to worry about it. Okay, and yeah, go ahead.
Is it fine now? Because I turned it back on, but it's rewriting again. resolve config for Ansible master, but
Yeah, for now it's okay. Then you could turn it off again.
okay.
So run this to the yum install EPEL release and yum install Ansible.
I did both. They work.
I'm sorry?
I already did both. They work.
Okay, good. So now, if you look at the config file, let's look at the configuration file in here. So this is the location of the configuration file. etc ansible ansible.cfg. So if I go in there, vi etc ansible. So when Ansible was installed, all these files were installed there. Okay, so it has a bunch of information. So what do we have here? Okay, so we have a lot of information here. So the only thing I'm worried about is at this moment. Okay, so these are the basic defaults here, right? Some basic defaults in so this part here is the inventory. This file, we're gonna go and edit this in a minute here, and we're gonna put the list in here. Okay, this will be a by default, this is read for list of servers. So our 5 servers, we have to edit this file and put it in there, the list of servers. And other thing is by default is gonna fork 5 means by default is gonna connect to 5 servers simultaneously. It manages 5 servers at a time. So if you have like 100 server, you want to configure 100 servers, what is it going to do is it's going to do 5 at a time. It's going to break it up. It's going to go 5 at a time, unless you come in here and change the number. If you come in here, change the number like 20, it's going to do 20 connections at a time. Okay, so this looks odd here to my eyes though.
Did you want us to change all the client server names, the host names?
I was gonna ask you to do offline.
Okay.
Because it's gonna suck up so much time.
And do you
Maybe
want us to
we'll use Ansible to do that for us.
Okay. Do you want us to change all the IPs from DHCP to static?
Not necessarily. You can skip on it because it's not. I notice it's not going to change as much. But in real world scenario, you should.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm only worried about these two items here. Okay, so now so what we have now is we have a master Ansible master node. So this is the Ansible master, which is 192.168.56.116. Okay, and other ones are the clients, and these are the ones we're gonna go change the name later on. Clients. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, what I have to do is I have to establish the connection here. So we could do password, we could do SSH, and from one server to another server we could do that, right? Each time is gonna ask us to put in the password here. So what we need is we need to establish the passwordless connection. Okay, if you go into our here, and I have already, so not password, SSH, and we have a documentation here to establish the passwordless connection. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that on Ansible master. So I'm gonna do is establish passwordless okay. So how am I gonna do that? Just simply follow this along here, because I have officially showed you how to do this. So I have an Ansible box, and so I'm following this here. So what I'm doing is I'm typing in SSH hyphen, let me clear the screen, SSH hyphen keygen. So what it's gonna do is gonna create the keys here. I already went through this here, so I'm not gonna go through too much, but here's what it is. Okay, when I do SSH keygen and I hit enter, what does it say is it's generating the key. So all I have to do is hit enter here, hit enter again, and then I don't want any password on top of the key, so I'm gonna hit enter. So what it did was it created a key. Where did it create the key? In this directories here, /root.ssh and root.ssh. It created these two keys with these two names. One is a public key, another is a private key. So what it does is it creates a public key and a private key. We talked about this public and private key already, okay? So if you need to know a little bit more, then watch that video there. So here, all you do is hit enter. And here, hit enter also. And then paraphrase. Here also created. Okay, so this is nothing new here. Now what I'm going to do is let's go into this directory here. And if you do ls-la, it's a hidden directory. Okay, so this is a public key and it's a private key here. It's just been created just now, like 2 minutes ago. So this is a private key and this is a public key, okay? Mathematically speaking, public key and private key it belongs to each other, okay? So they both are the size of sides of the same coins, okay? You know how the coins have two sides, heads and tails? This is what they are, okay? And they both must match for it to work together. So now if you do cat, you will have like a large alphanumeric number here, okay? This is encrypted. This is a key, encrypted key. And same thing with the other, cat IDRSA .pub. Okay, public key is a little bit shorter. The private key is a really big one. And in the bottom here, actually, it tells you the server name and all that is already in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it shrink it a little bit so that we're not using it. It just is informational. Okay, so that you know. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the command I'm gonna copy. So what will happen is I will copy this key here. What the system is going to do is it's going to copy the public key into these 5 servers here. We're going to make it a copy to the 5 servers. That way next time we're going to connect, it will not ask for the password. Okay, so what you have to do is SSH copy -ID. This is the command. And you type, let me clear the screen here. Okay, SSH copy -ID, then you type root at, because you're going to connect to the root account, and the very first IP address I have is 117. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. For the first time it's going to ask you for the password. You type yes, and it's asking you for the password here. So I'm going to give you the password for the client 1, which I normally keep it just same one. Okay, now if I bring this up here, only thing I have to do is SSH and hit enter. It will not ask you for the password. This is very key component here for Ansible to be working. See, it did not ask for the password here, and you see it has changed to something else. And then you see Ansible master. We are not in Ansible master anymore. We are in this server. Okay, so if I exit, I'll come back to my Ansible master here. So we're going to repeat this for all of them. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring this up here. The next number I have is 120. Okay, and it's asking you, are you sure you want to do this? Yes. Let me copy this in the document. Copy the public keys to the Ansible clients. Okay, I did this. I'm going to type yes. And very first time is going to ask for the password. I'm going to provide the password. And what will happen is it will take that from there. Okay, so the password is established. Passwordless is established here. So if I bring this up here, and if I do SSH for 120, it is not going to ask me the password. You guys see the difference here, right? It is not asking me for the password. And this is really necessary here. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to set this up for the rest of them. Okay, now let me go ahead and do this deed for everyone else. 120, 122. Yes. Red hat. And it accepted that clear. 124. Yes. And it worked. And the last one is 126. Okay, and all of them are ready now. Okay, so the connection is ready. Establish the connection for rest of the Ansible clients here. Now what we're going to do is now make the entry into etc Ansible hosts. Okay, this is the configuration file I talked about earlier. etc Ansible host. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in there and put in the vi etc Ansible hosts. This is the simple text file in here, and what you do is you put in either you put in either the server name or you put in the IP address. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and delete everything in here. Okay, so now I'm gonna say is I'm gonna copy my server's IPs, simply dump it in there. Okay, I have 5 servers here. I save and exit. So in here, I'm gonna say delete all content and then add IP addresses. Okay, now so when we're gonna run the commands, what will happen is Ansible will go into this file and it will read these servers here. So if he sees like 5 servers in here, the action you're gonna tell him to do, the action is gonna do in all the 5 servers. If you have 500 servers in there, it will do the action for 500 servers. It's all what I'm saying is this is actually happening here. I mean, in the real world scenario, that's why Ansible is used widely here. Okay, so now let's do our very first command. Okay, let's see how it's gonna work. So let's start with commands. I'm gonna say Ansible commands, Ansible ad hoc commands. Okay, so very first thing what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ping and see the ping is working. So right now I'm connected here. I'm going to connect to these 5 servers here. So what I'm going to do is ping. We're not going to use ping command here. We're going to use Ansible all. That means when you say all, is gonna go inside the host and is gonna read go through all the servers in here. Instead of all, we could make groups in here. Later on I'll show you how we could make groups in here and it will work only with that group. So I'm gonna say Ansible all -m. M means module. It is a module developed by Ansible. It is built in. So if I type ping, I'm using a ping module. And if I hit enter, what is going to happen is it's going to take a few minutes here. It's going to go through all the servers here and ping servers. So right now we have success here, right? So right now our client here went to this 126, which is this one here. So I think it's going randomly here. So don't worry about how it's doing it. So you have Ansible all -m ping. So it went to this box and did a ping and it was successful. Okay. Did it made any changes? It didn't make any changes. If you're going to make changes in the future, then it will change. Changes correct has been made. So it went to 117. It made changes. It went to 124 and it was successful. The ping was successful. And 122 was successful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this command here. Alright, while I'm doing this, any questions? Guys, ask me questions here. So actually let me delete this here. So very first one is Ansible and I type all and I type -m is a module. Which module I want to use? I'm using ping. Okay, so let me shrink this up a little bit. So Ansible is a Ansible command. All means all the servers in etc file, all the servers in etc host file, etc Ansible hosts. And -m is a Ansible module. Okay, what does Ansible module means? It is built-in module. It is built-in module too for you to be able to use with the Ansible here. Okay, so Ansible, you will realize Ansible is designed as such. Lot of heavy lifting for you is already be done in the background. Okay, and this is a Linux command here. No, actually this is not a Linux command. This is a use -m means use a module, and which module I'm using? I'm using a ping module. So I'm telling the system Ansible all for all the servers. -m means use a module, and which module you want me to use? Use a ping module. So what it does is it goes and pings the server. And the result is clear. You have a clear result here that it is working. So let me copy this part here. Okay, so all you have to worry about is success. If it's successful, then it is able to ping. So there is one more module, shell module, which is I use all the time. Okay, shell module. This allows you to run your familiar Linux commands. Okay, you will see what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see here what I meant. So how exactly I'm going to use that? Similar command. I'm going to clear this. So I'm going to say Ansible all. Then I'm going to use -m shell. Shell command is a built-in command which allows you to run the command. Okay, and then you have to do -a, and you do somebody give me your favorite command you learned so far.
ls-l.
Okay, ls-l, and you close the quotes. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so it went into all the servers here. It went into all the servers, it did ls-l, and the result is it has only default file in there, Anaconda file. All of them has the same files in there. Okay, let's do uptime. I want to know how long this server's been up. So I type uptime. There you go. It's gonna give you the information about each server here, uptime. Okay, let's do lsblk. It has the IP address starting here, and it's give you the familiar output here. So it's giving you the output for all the servers. Okay, let's do df-h. I want to look at the mount. So I use the shell command all the time here because I don't have to worry about using the specific module. df-h is there. Okay, what about the memory? I want to see the memory. free-h. Okay, so now I have this here, but I don't want to see this on the screen. What is going to happen here? What will happen to the output? I redirected the output to output.txt. So if somebody is asking the output for all these servers here, what you do is you put it in the file and send it to somebody here. So instead of displaying on the screen here, I put it in the file. If I do vi output.txt, you see all the output is here. Okay, this is where you have to remember redirect. Don't tell me you don't know how to do redirect. Okay, I'll be really mad. And what about host name? You're gonna go type host name any command you could think of, you could definitely do this here. So they have all the only generic host name here, okay? And okay, so what about if I want to see if the server has an internet connection? I want to see if it could ping Google, okay? I do ping -c count 1 google.com. So it's gonna run this command on each server, and it's gonna give you the output. So it went on to all the servers here and give me the output here. If one of the server would have not been able to connect, you could get the error message here. Okay, so this way you could tell all 5 servers have internet connection. Okay, how about this one here? Anybody like this one here? I want to okay, you could see yourself in action here. I did init 6, all 5 servers should reboot. See, all the servers are rebooting now. So if you want to reboot like 100 servers, you run this command, okay? But don't reboot the production servers. Don't reboot any servers. Yeah, I think I told you many times. You're gonna get in trouble. All right, so it will come up. In the meantime, I'll put all these commands in here.
Yeah, Mr. Zafar, why we have to put the shell command? We already have Ansible all.
No, shell command is the shell. That means it's telling it to use the shell here. Right now, this is shell. Command line interface is also known as shell. Have you ever heard about shell scripting?
Yes, yes.
So shell means you're running it right on the command line. They should have named it CLI. CLI would have been better, but shell is the one that will allow you to run the commands as if you're running local commands.
So if we say Ansible all and in commas we put init6, it don't work.
No, you have to have shell in there. Yeah, it won't work. Because M is a module. We're telling use a module, and which module I'm using? I'm using a shell, which is designed by Ansible. And I'm telling, okay, hyphen A, I forget what hyphen A was. Hyphen A was hyphen A I have to look it up here, but let me copy these commands here before I do that, okay? So let me clear this and
it's in a real world scenario, this Ansible will be all by the administrator, right?
yeah. I would be surprised if any company is not using it, because almost everybody is using it. It's a free product. Instead of spending money, I mean, anybody could install it and run it on the existing environment you have. And you're not doing any change to the thousands of servers. You're establishing only one server and you're making a SSH connection, okay? There is no risk of installing a new package, because installing a new package is a risk. And also installing it on thousands of servers is even a bigger risk. So this is a get redirected. Okay, now what else you could do is you go into VI, ETC, Ansible, hosts, and you could give the groups here. So to give the group, you have to do the square bracket. I'm gonna give the first group a Chicago, and then this part here I'm gonna give New York. Okay, and this part I'm gonna give DC. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save and exit here, so that now the groups is there, right? So let me go back in there. Okay, so you establish the groups in here. So how do you run the command? So instead of all, so you do the same thing here, right? I'm gonna bring up this command here, right? And I'm gonna say instead of all, you do NY, New York, and New York has 2 servers in there. Okay, I'm gonna use the shell module, and here I want the uptime, how long these 2 servers have been up, and I do this here. What it's gonna do is gonna go into the file and reads only. It says okay, it sees the New York group and it will ping only 2 New York groups. Okay, so it didn't go through everything in there. You could still use the all command here. Let's do DC. DC has only 1 server, so it's gonna go into DC and then do that for you. Okay, so let's start DC. You want to start only DC here. You want to do init 6 here, and let's see which our server is. It's gonna reboot it for you. Okay, looks like it's the bottom one.
Mr. Zafar,
Yeah.
where it's saying after 5 minutes for you, it says 1 user. What does it mean if it has 2 users?
So you could have like you do W here or who. So you have 2 users here, right? One user is I'm logged in here once already here. Okay, and then where is the second user? Second user I'm using putty. That's why it says 192.168.56.1. So if I type exit here, now it should be if I type who, it should be only 1 user now. There you go. Similarly, on all these 5 servers here, nobody is logged in here. See, all these servers are sitting there without logged in. Let's log into one server here on the bottom. Root Red Hat. Okay, now if I run this Ansible, the last server should bring me up the information that the last server has 2 users in it. Which one was it? The DC, right? What was it showing up? Uptime was showing up 1 user, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do uptime. Now I should have 2 users. There you go. It got 2 users in there.
Okay.
So similarly, you could put in the IP address for the host here, for the assignment server, and we could control the assignment servers here also. Where is the assignment server? Assignment. Like if you put in the public IP address, it will take it also. But you have to establish SSH also. Let's do that. Let's do for that server. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do SSH copy. SSH -copy -id root at, and I'm going to put it on a public server IP, and there you go. It's asking if you want to do it. Yes, and I need to put in the password here, root password. I hope I put in the right password. No. Okay, now what I have to do is I have to make an entry into Ansible host files here, and let me make this as a, so the server, as long as the server is available anywhere in the world, you should be able to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna save and exit, and I'm gonna clear this, and I will run the hostname command, which is 82. So it's gonna go through all the file and it's gonna bring us some output here. Okay, so looks like, see, it went into the public server, which is on the internet, and it brought me the IP address here, or the host name, or whatever. Okay, now what I'm going to show you is 3 more minutes here. After that, we will conclude and start next week. What the? So what happened here is so when you type uptime New York, it brought up only New York, right? So let me put this in here. Okay, so this is the group here. So group in files host. So what you have to do is all you have to do is instead of all, you have to give the group name. Specify group name instead of all. So what else you could do is, you don't have to use the host file here. Most of the time I don't use the default host file. What I do is I use my own servers, right? So if I do cat etc et cat etc Ansible. Okay, I'm gonna redirect it to my servers dot my servers. I'm gonna create it in my servers. So if I do cat my servers, which is listed, which is sitting in this folder here, right? This is sitting in this folder here. So what I'm doing is I'm not going to use this default file anymore. I'm going to use my own file here. So for that, I have to specify in the command here which file you want to use. So there, this is where you're going to specify the file using either the absolute command, absolute path, or relative path. Okay, instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the same command here. So what I'm going to do is instead of all here, at this time it is by default is going to go and as long as you have all there and nothing else after that, is going to go and look for this file here, etc Ansible host file. But after all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify it. -I means input file name. So I'm going to give the my servers. File name is my servers here, okay? And then I'm going to run everything else as same. So what is going to happen is it's not reading the host files here. It's reading this file. We specified this file in here. So that's what is going to happen. Okay, it worked just fine. Or you could specify the absolute path here also. /root/ my server here. If you think the file is sitting somewhere else, you could do that too.
So how did it make my servers the new file?
Oh, I did cat here, remember? I did cat and redirect to my server here.
Okay.
In here, if I do whatever I want to do in here, so if I remove this and make this as part of this here, so now what else I could do is literally I could use everything I want here. Or if I have in here, instead of all, if I do ny, it's going to use the New York group. Realistically, what you normally do is you put in instead of New York, you put in the database, or you put in MongoDB or whatever database team you're working with, you put that in there so that you don't have any confusion. Plus, it's a text file. It's a dirt cheap. It's not going to cost you anything to create a text file. So it went in there and then it looked for the New York servers and it found 3 New York servers in there and pinged it for you. So here, if you do -I, what you're doing is you're specifying the location of the file, okay? Which path is this here? If I didn't type in anything specific, which path is that? -I, lowercase I, to specify the file location, okay? file and its location. All right, that's it for today here. I'm going to stop now. We have enough for today. So we're going to finish this, and we'll, whatever left in Ansible is for another 1 hour next week. And then we'll pick it up from there, and then we'll wrap up Ansible and we'll move on to another topic.
Okay. I had a question, Mr. Zafar.
Yeah.
Could we go over like some of those practice documents you sent me?
Which one?